Welcome back, guys, to another week and another Destiny 2 video. However, this week, it's not a build video. This week, we are going to dive into the world of Grandmaster guides. Now, in this guide, what you're gonna see is loadouts that me and my fire team use to get us through this effectively, and an overall walkthrough for every encounter that is difficult for this particular Grandmaster. The starting area, the tank room, the core area, and the boss room. Now, this video is not particularly designed for speedrunning unless you want to optimize it for yourself and just use the walkthrough part, which is completely fine. However, we used our builds to just get through it and get our loot and then move on to the next thing. However, if you want to farm it, obviously, use whatever loadouts you want to use, whatever suits you and your team best. And just, go at it. If you need to, just use the walkthrough. I'm not going to keep rambling, so if you liked it, leave a like. If it helped you, leave a like. If you want to see the next couple Grandmasters, please consider subscribing, as we are still so close to 500. And let's get on with this video. The first loadout that we're going to look at is the loadout that I use. I was on Void Titan with Sentinel Shield and Ursa Furiosus, so that, we could use Banner Shield a little more effectively. I used Bad Juju, which, I'll be honest, not my first choice. However, it still performed a lot better than I had anticipated, so it's actually a pretty good option. I used a Vouchsafe for my energy weapon, and I'll be honest with you, I absolutely despise the Scout Rifle. It is a pea shooter. If you got something else you want to use, absolutely use it. And for my heavy, as well as the heavies for both of my teammates, we all use Cataclysmic, as it is solar burn. Linears do really good damage, and Cataclysmic is a solar linear fusion rifle. The second loadout we're going to look at is on the Hunter that I ran this with. Blade Barrage, Shards of Galanor, so you can get your Blade Barrage back faster, paired with, the Ursas. You're going to be feeding into orbs a lot, so if you wanted to, you could also run Star Eater Scales. They ran a Secession for long-range enemies to deal with, because there are a fair bit of snipers. Skyburner's Oath, as it got a buff at the beginning of the season. They're on solar. They can feed into the Scorch that it applies, as well as do some other really unique roles for this specific Grandmaster. And finally, the last loadout we're going to look at, my other friendly, who is also a Void Titan, running Ursa Furiosas, also ran Arbalest to one-tap the anti-barriers. Sakato 46, or whatever the number is at the end of that scout rifle, just for a solar shield scout rifle. Solar, be able to pop solar as a scout rifle with a solar burn. And finally, they all also ran Cataclysmic, as well as my other friendly. Now, some mods you might want to consider taking into this when you're looking at making a build is Well of Tenacity for that damage reduction, Reaping Wellmaker to easily make Void Wells, Seeking Wells so you don't die trying to get said wells, Font of Wisdom to increase your super regeneration rate, and on these three particular loadouts, it's not really needed, but it was very helpful. Revitalizing Blast to deal extra damage to those champions. My Hunter ran Classy Restoration, keep themselves alive a little bit better. And Solar Fulmination is also a fantastic option when applying the Revitalizing Blast, as it does do additional damage. Some other things that are really, really key for this is Weakening Grenades on Void, whether that be on any of the three, classes, is very good because the enemies in here are chunky. The boss has a lot of health. The Weakening Grenade does indeed help with that. And finally, me and my other Titan found that Bastion, the aspect where you get an overshield replacing a barricade, was very, very, very good. So, take all this stuff in mind when you go to make a build for your own Grandmaster run. Now let's start looking at the strike itself. Let's look at the modifiers for this particular strike. Comes with Scorched Earth. Enemies throw grenades significantly and more often. These grenades hurt. They do solar damage. If you get stuck, you are going to die regardless of your resistance and resilience. There's Barrier and Unstoppable Champions. It has Chaff, which means your radar is disabled, and our regular lineup of Grandmaster modifiers. Contest Mode, more champions, locked loadout, match game, and extra shields. It has Extinguish. If your fire team falls in a restricted zone, everyone is returned to orbit. Limited revives. You can only revive a certain amount of times and you gain more from defeating champions. There's Arc, Solar, and Void shields in here. and it comes with the unique modifier Ignovin's Challenge. Incoming splash damage increased, knockback damage increased, and the distance is also increased. And then finally, we have our acute solar burn. 25% solar damage dealt, and you're going to receive 50% more solar damage. So, speccing out for solar is great, and, trying to avoid anything that does solar damage is also very great. Alright, so in this starting area, when you land into the strike, you're going to want to pull out your Sparrow, and you're going to want to hang hard left, avoiding the Vex and the other stuff to your right-hand side. Once you get into this little area where the Vex portal is on your left, you're going to jump up to the cliff in front of you, and you're going to try to use these pipes here for cover from everything. There's going to be a few things that you're going to want to look out for. First of which are the Scorpio turrets. There's 4 of them in this area, and they will absolutely melt your face off if you are caught by them. Second of which is the 3 champions that will spawn here. There's an Unstoppable on your right, down the hill, fighting those Vex that we avoided in the beginning. There's going to be a Barrier champion in the middle of this hill area before you get to the tank, and then the final Unstoppable right in front of the tank. Now, I highly recommend taking care of the Unstoppable at the bottom of the hill, whether that be as a team or sending someone off to do it by themselves, and the Barrier in the middle of this hill, because once you defeat that Unstoppable in front of the tank, it is going to cause the boss to spawn, and that is going to activate the next step of this first area, as well as a whole other mess of problems. Now, once both those Unstops are dealt with, and the boss is going to spawn, and hopefully you have dealt with that Barrier champion, because when the boss spawns, he also spawns with another Unstoppable champion and a group of adds. What you're going to want to do is take out that Unstoppable champion and these adds as fast as you can, and then start working on the boss to get him to pop his shield generator. Once the boss pops his shield generator, he's going to spawn another Unstoppable champion. For this part of the fight, is you're going to want to get on the left-hand side in front of the tank. There's this big rock you can use for cover. You're going to see it in the background gameplay. That is a good place to sit, and that Unstoppable champion is going to spawn right in front of you on that door, so you're going to have to burn him as quick as possible. He's really not that hard to deal with as a team, and once he's dealt with, we're going to make really, really good use of Skyburner Oath's other, particular utility for this particular Nightfall. Skyburner's Oath can shoot through those shields and hit the shield generator, allowing you to damage it and destroy it safely without ever having to put you or your team at risk. Then you continue this fight, defeating that boss and moving into the tank. Also, do not be afraid to use your supers here to make this easy. On your way to the next area, there is a small handful of red bar adds you have to deal with before moving on to what I consider to be the biggest struggle of this entire Nightfall. Now, once you're past those handful of adds, once you get inside the tank, we're going to go into the vehicle bay room. This room is very challenging. There are a bunch of champions that spawn here, a bunch of gold bar mini bosses, 2 tanks, and 3 interceptors that can all take you out in pretty much one shot. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sit up here before dropping down and take out 2 of the 3 interceptors that spawn, as they are the biggest pain in the ass in this entire Nightfall. You're going to have to crouch and get a nice angle on the left one and the right one in order to take them out effectively. When you do this, you can drop down and deal with all the other champions, and when you do drop down, you're going to head directly to the right-hand side, and one of the Titans are going to pop their barricade. Now, hopefully you took my advice and you have the Bastion aspect on this. This way, your team can get those overshields, and the other thing you want to make a good note of is making sure you destroy those yellow barrels. They will absolutely kill you. And be careful of adds pushing you in this room. There's a lot of stuff to deal with. You have champions in the center. You've got gold bar mini bosses that will spawn as well. There is a chance that one of these gold bar mini bosses spawns with an arc shield. If that's the case, the person using Arbalest can pop it. He is one of the only arc shields you truly have to deal with. And then burn him down with your heavy so he doesn't get his shields back. Once you and your fire team feel like you're safe in your own little hidey hole off to the right, start working on the barrier champions that spawned on the center bridge. One of them might jump down and move over to the right backhand corner. If that's the case, leave him alone. Focus on the one in center, then turn your attention to the one that moved to the back corner. Now, odds are you're still going to have one interceptor left. Team shot it, destroy it, and then work on the last gold bar mini boss that's way in the back of the room. Now, when this happens, you're going to activate the next step of this room. It is by far one of the worst parts of this Nightfall. You're going to have 2 tanks that spawn out of the bay doors on your left and right hand side. What we did is we had one of our banner shield titans step out, pop shield, and hold it while the other 2 burn down the tank in front of them. Once that banner shield is done, the other titan pops out, uses his banner shield, we burn down the other tank, while our hunter just throws blade barrages to get rid of adds, damaged tanks, just throwing it out there to throw it out there, realistically. Having the synergy between Ursas and Shards of Galanor allowed us to get our supers back a lot. So, once two tanks are dealt with, you now have to deal with 2 more barrier champions and a bunch more gold bar adds. And while this is going on, you're probably going to get pushed by those Cabal War Beasts pushing you out of cover. When everything is dead, you are now able to safely move on from this room to what I like to call the plug and play room. Now, before this room, you're going to run into a few more red bars, and that's not really a problem. You're going to drop down, and what I like to do is have one of the Titans pop Banner Shield and stand in the doorway to deal with the Unstoppable Champion and the gold bar mini boss that spawns there. Once they're dealt with, you can kind of peek out a little bit and pick off the red bars and, those other adds that'll spawn, because they're going to snipe at you and try to send you back to orbit. Now, on to the reason I called this the plug and play room. Once you defeat that gold bar boss and the champion and all the red bar adds, there's going to be a Cabal power cell you have to pick up and bring to the next room. Now, upon picking up this power cell, you're going to trigger the doors to open and a bunch of gladiators are going to rush out at you. That's fine. All you're going to do is drop, if you're the one carrying this particular Cabal power cell, you're going to drop it and help your friendlies deal with these gladiators. Grenades are your best friend here. Once the gladiators are done, you're going to have to deal with a barrier champion in front of where you have to plug it in. Once it is done, you can then go back, pick up the power cell, and plug it in. Also, as a side note, be careful of the 2 Scorpio turrets that spawn in here on the top left-hand side. Once you plug in the first one, you now have to go get the second one, which is on the other side of the room. Upon opening that door, you're going to be met with a barrier champion, a bunch of adds, as well as even more Scorpio turrets that you're going to have to deal with. What I like to do here is, again, pop my banner shield and just sit there and let the Scorpio turret hit my banner shield to charge it from my Ursa Furiosas and drop orbs for my other 2 teammates. Then you're going to take out everything in this room as well. I recommend not taking out that gold bar mini boss until you're ready to move on into the next room, because once you kill him, there are going to be more gladiators that now spawn behind you that are going to rush you like they did when you grabbed the first power core. Once you defeat those gladiators, there's going to be another barrier champion and another group of adds that are going to be in front of you where you have to plug in the next power core. Defeat them, grab the core, and plug it in. Once you plug it in, the door in front of you is going to open, and there's going to be a whole horde of war beasts, a bunch of red bars, an unstoppable, and a barrier champion. What you can do here is, again, pop Banner Shield in front of the door and just start working on those adds. Have your hunter throw the blade barrages. Once your Ursa runs out, your teammate pops Ursa's, pops Banner Shield. Rinse and repeat until the room is cleared, generating all these orbs and allowing your supers to charge. You should have another shield and ready to go to eat more damage by the time your friendlies run out. Make more orbs for your hunter. And also, do not be afraid to use your super here before the elevator, because when you get to the top into the boss arena, you're going to activate one of those Season of the Chosen beacons that will give you your super back in its entirety for this boss fight. Now, let's talk about this boss fight. And I'm not going to lie, this boss fight can be very, very stressful. What you're going to want to do is to send your teammates to the back left-hand corner of this room. One person is going to activate this chosen beacon in the center of the arena and then run to meet the friendlies. Now, the little tunnel in the back of this boss room, I'm going to refer to as the oven, as if you're not careful, you will get cooked inside of there. During the boss fight, the boss is going to throw these solar meteors at you, which will more than likely kill you in one shot. You have 2 options to deal with these particular attacks. One of which is you can team shot them to destroy them, or the better option here is you can just run into the oven, as it will try to hit you and just explode on the front of the oven. While this is going on, you're going to have one group of adds spawn on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. They're going to drop down. Defeat them quickly. They're really not that hard. A grenade takes care of them. Once they're dealt with, you can focus on damaging the boss. Once the boss goes down a third of their health, they're going to go to the front of the room where that chosen beacon was, and they're going to pop one of those shield generators like we saw at the beginning of this particular strike. Now, what's also going to happen is 2 unstoppables are going to spawn. One on left, one on right. Communicate with your team about which one you're going to take out first. Focus it. And then focus the next one, because they will rush you and they will absolutely kill you and send you back to orbit if you are not careful. Now, the person with Skyburners is going to do the same thing they did in the first encounter of this entire Nightfall. They're going to shoot the shield generator and destroy it without anybody getting put at risk. And while this is going on, Ignovan, the boss, is still going to shoot meteors at you, so try and destroy them before they get to the person using Skyburners. Now, once the shield generator is destroyed, it's going to be rinse and repeat. You're going to damage the boss, deal with a wave of adds, and then, when you're down to now 2/3 of this boss's health, they're now going to jump up on top of the oven. What you're going to do now is you're going to rotate back to the front of the room where you came in, deal with those unstoppables again, communicate with your teammates, get those unstoppables taken care of. While you're sitting back here, those meteor orbs cannot really hit you. 1 or 2 may sneak past you. If this happens, just shoot them, let your person with Skyburner's Oath do the work, destroy the shield generator. Once the shield generator is destroyed, it is free game. Kill the boss as fast as you can, and you'll be rewarded with your 2 times extra loot this week in this particular Nightfall Strike, including Silicon Aroma Adept. Now, these builds were not optimized for speed. They were designed to get you through this Nightfall safely and allow you to get the clear done. If you want to do this faster, you can absolutely optimize for whatever you want to run. We tried several things like Well of Radiance, Shadebinder Warlock with Stasis Turrets, Revenant Hunters, and an accidental Bubble Titan. And out of all the loadouts we used, this was the one we enjoyed using because it was fun. It was fun to be able to pop super over and over again and just be safe and take care of all the ads we needed to take care of. It is definitely one of the more fun builds I have done in a Grandmaster Nightfall. So, keep that in mind if you want to run this. It is very enjoyable. But with that being said, that is it for this particular Nightfall. Now, I hope if you stayed this long, you really enjoyed this Nightfall, or this GM guide. It's the first one I've done, so I'm kind of nervous about it. Next week, though, we're going to be looking at Insight Terminus, which was my first ever Grandmaster clear. So, you have that to look forward to next week. I believe I'm going to be taking a Stasis Warlock for old time's sakes. And I'm not going to stress myself out with doing all 6 in one day, because I am just one person, editing, recording, doing all this stuff. So, I'm just going to do them once at a time, as they roll out, and see how that plays out for me. So, with that being said, I hope everybody has a great week, and hope everybody gets the loot that they want. And, gets their Grandmaster clear with the help of my video in particular.